Hey.
Alright, y'all, to me, the Toronto Raptors are one of the bigger mystery teams, at least in my opinion, heading into this new NBA year. It was the debut of new head coach Darko Rajakovic, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he is taking it over for Nick Nurse. As we all know, the offense was pretty lackluster last year for the Toronto Raptors. They didn't really have a lot of shooting, there's a lot of clogged paints, and a lot of just not great shot attempts. But so far through one preseason game, it seems like they're trending in the right direction. Although I will keep in mind that this game was against the Sacramento Kings, it's preseason, there were a lot of end of rotation guys playing, and the Kings are one of the worst defensive teams in the league, so take this all with a grain of salt. Either way, I'm not going to let that stop me from being extremely re-excited for Scotty Barnes in this new look offense. He was listed as the 2 guard in the starting lineup, running the backcourt with Dennis Schroder, and he got a lot of reps as the main ball handler in a lot of offensive sets. There are a lot of creative things that helped Scotty Barnes. It seems like it's going to help open up his game more and just make him a more effective player on that end of the court. Darko had him running some direct handoffs, they used him as a screener, and overall they're just trying to find ways to get Scotty Barnes the ball in the post, in the paint, because that's where he's at his best. If he has a mismatch with a smaller guard, he can go up and score on them. If he draws a double in the post or in the paint, then he's really good at using his size and length to kick out to teammates for open shots and just open looks in general. And speaking of the backcourt, new addition Dennis Schroder. I'm still trying to work this out because obviously they lose Fred VanVleet. It seemed like a pretty big loss, and then they very quietly added Dennis Schroder to this roster. Then obviously FIFA play, he ends up winning the MVP of the entire tournament and now has a whole bunch of momentum heading into the season. He's taken over this Toronto Raptors starting point guard job, and I have to say I liked what I saw in this first preseason game. He's not quite the shooter that Fred VanVleet was for the squad, but at the same time, Dennis Schroder is impactful offensively in other ways by adding constant rim pressure. He's always looking to attack. He's a little bit more of a willing passer in my mind than VanVleet was. And at the end of the day, he is a veteran that can come in and run this offense and help get it some points, which is something that, they struggled with last year at times. And then perhaps the most impactful player from this game for the Raptors was Trent Jr. off the bench. I think a lot of people forget that he's only 24 years old. He's still very young, even though he has bounced around on a couple teams now. But he's going to be a very important piece for this Raptors team, at least that's what it seems like so far. He's easily the best shooter in this rotation until Grady Dick eventually cracks into that rotation, and it's going to be important that he lets some threes fly, is putting up shots on the offensive side of the ball, and plus it's not like he's a bad defender either. He's great at getting in the passing lanes, playing solid defense, all that good stuff. And speaking of Grady Dick, I think he's going to end up being a really good draft choice for this team. Once he gets acclimated and into the rotation, he is a tough shot maker, he's a tough shot taker. In this first game, he was not afraid to let shots rip, and that is exactly what this Raptors team is going to need. They can use him as a distraction with off-ball screens. They can just use him as a floor spacer in general, all things that will help this offense when he's on the court. Plus, at the end of the day, it seems like this Toronto defense is going to be the same suffocating, great defense it has been for the last couple of years or so. They're a good rebounding team. The defense will be good. It's just a question of will the offense actually take a step forward this year. As for the Sacramento Kings, I also have a couple of quick notes for them as well. Keegan Murray continues to have an awesome summer. Cooked in the summer league, played well in this first preseason game here. He seems like he is more comfortable putting the ball on the floor and getting to the rim. He had a couple of really nice finishes in this one. His next step will be adding some more defense to his game, because if they could unlock being able to play Keegan Murray at the 4 and then run a lineup with Sabonis and him, get rid of Harrison Barnes. I love Harrison Barnes, but get him off the court, get Malik Monk in there, get Davion Mitchell in there. And if they're able to run those kinds of lineups, then this Sacramento team can take another good leap forward. Malik Monk also continues to impress me as a playmaker with the ball in his hands, running pick and rolls, dishing it out in transition. And he's another guy a lot like Gary Trent that I think people forget how young he is. He's someone else that has bounced around a couple teams so far in his early career, but he's only 25 years old. And then there was Sasha Vezenkov, a 28-year-old rookie who played in the EuroLeague, won a, I think he was like the Europe Player of the Year last year, or Player of the Year in Europe. I forget what the exact award was, but he looks pretty solid. I think he's another piece that could add right away to the Sacramento team, a lot like Chris Duarte, who is an older, is he a third year in the league? Either way, bunch of good additions by the Sacramento Kings this offseason. I think Vezenkov could definitely play a part and maybe take over that Trey Lyles role as just someone who can move the ball, get you some rebounds, play some defense, but overall shoot the ball when you're on the court. The team defense as an overall is still a little bit questionable for this Kings team, so that again will be something to monitor. But overall, it's interesting to see these two teams. They both are kind of in awkward spots. I'd consider them both a little bit of a mystery in terms of trying to predict where they end up in their respective conferences. But at the end of the day, they both got a lot of young talent. It was a fun game to watch, and that's all I got for this one. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all in the next one.